What does the First Lady, lower tuition, and never needing a GPS have in common? Hello, I'm Kiersten McDonald.
And I'm Cali, Montana. On November 9th, Donald Trump turned the state of Pennsylvania red, as well as trumped Hillary Clinton to become the 45th president of the United States. We have all this and more coming up on LTV News, where the action never stops.
Hello and welcome to LTV News, where we bring you everything from 20th and Olney Avenue, Philadelphia, and the world.
There's a lot to catch up on the next half hour as we give you a recap of what went down this semester. And oh boy, there has been a lot, so let's get to it.
First Lady Michelle Obama arrived on campus on September 28th. A crowd of 3,652 greeted her in the Tom Gola Arena, many of which were LaSalle explorers. The First Lady urged Pennsylvanians to register and vote.
17 votes, that's how presidential elections are won and lost, on 5 votes, 17 votes per precinct.
She campaigned for Hillary Clinton, making the case that Clinton is the only candidate prepared for the White House.
The presidency doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are.
Preceding her arrival, many political figures took the stage. The event began with LaSalle student Hannah Codier leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Following Hannah, recording artist Jasmine Sullivan sang the national anthem. Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sydney Bass and Philadelphia State Representative Art Haywood then welcomed everyone to the event. LaSalle University class of 1975 graduate and State Representative Dwight Evans took the stage to campaign for Clinton. PA Attorney General Josh Shapiro echoed what Michelle Obama said at the Democratic National Convention.
That's right. So when Donald Trump goes low talking about a beautiful, accomplished Latina Miss Universe, what are we going to do? We're going to stand up and talk about pay equity for women in this country. Am I right?
Former candidate for U.S. Senate Katie McGinty attacked Trump's antics and urged all
to... Did you see that debate? Did Hillary rock it Monday night?
Finally, LaSalle Jr. and Haitian immigrant Ludameg Laud introduced Michelle Obama.
I can't believe, it feels like it was forever ago.
So exciting, yeah.
I still can't believe she was here.
Yeah.
I was so happy. I mean, it was crazy here. Oh my goodness, when was that? Back in
September. It feels like yesterday to me, though, I will say. It was a fun event. It was so exciting to have, our First Lady on campus, and that was huge. It was a great
history. But let's hear, she had some jokes, so let's hear what she had to say.
In a time of great transition for me, for Barack, for Malia, Sasha, even Bo and Sonny. I mean, what are they gonna do when we leave? My husband's got to find a new job. I have to find a new job. We've got to move to a new home. We're going to need to pack. We got to pack up the old house, get it cleaned up so we can get our security deposit back.
Michelle definitely kept it nice and light here. It was a fun rally for sure, and it was very positive of the tone of just getting out there and voting.
And I like how she joked around a little, made everyone feel comfortable.
It
was a little laughs in there.
Exactly.
But besides joking around, she was also really sad about, her time at the White House coming to an end. So let's hear what she has to say.
And our time in the White House. It's all right. It's all right. 2 terms. It's a reason. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
She will definitely be missed.
Yes.
It was a great 8 years, huh?
She's adorable, too.
She's a lot of fun.
Come on. But I bet she is sad about leaving, but she has done a great job while in the White House. She really, will be missed.
Absolutely.
And another thing she brought up was tuition. So we should definitely hear what she has to say.
Oh, yeah, and she knows right about LaSalle and how we've lowered our tuition.
Yep. Let's hear it.
Remember what's at stake, particularly for our young people. Because the choice you make on November 8th will determine whether you can afford your college tuition. It will determine whether you can keep your health care when you graduate. On November 8th, you all will decide whether we have a president who believes in science and will combat climate change or not.
Tuition, which is a huge thing. Everyone talks about, so many different opinions about it. I feel like she handled that very well. And
Yeah, she said it beautifully, and I'm glad that LaSalle's making the change, and she came right on our campus to talk about that problem we have in America.
And she's also a huge inspiration.
Absolutely.
So let's go with it.
The brutal hours, the overwhelming stresses. And here's this thing, she still wants to do this job because she believes that she has an obligation to use her talents. What do we teach you all? To use your talents to help as many people as possible. That's why Hillary Clinton is running.
Oh, amazing. Everything she has to say, honestly, so inspirational, especially, you know, to people who are in college and just everyone out there in general. So I'm really glad that, you know, we all got to hear her and see her there, and all of her, amazing.
She's a great role model for sure.
Experience matters. Preparation matters. Temperament matters. And Hillary Clinton has it all. She's the real deal. I have come to know her very well over the years. And I know that she is more than ready, more than able to be an outstanding president for all of us. So, we cannot afford to squander this opportunity, particularly given the alternative. Because we know that being president isn't anything like reality TV. It is not an apprenticeship.
So I guess it wouldn't be a political rally without dissing the opponent,
Yeah,
at least a little.
You are right. And Trump, how can you not talk about him?
Yeah, he gives us a lot to talk about, that's for sure.
He does, and especially now because in the early morning hours of Wednesday, November 9th, the Associated Press announced the winner of the 2016 presidential election, Donald J. Trump. In an upset of the century fashion, he won the Oval Office and will serve as the 45th Commander-in-Chief of the United States. Trump secured a win in Wisconsin at 2:30 a.m., which sealed the deal of the victory with over 270 electoral votes. Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton called Trump by phone to concede moments later. Trump took the stage in a New York ballroom to give his victory speech. Quote, "Now it is time for all Americans to bind the wounds of division. It is time for us to come together as one united people." End quote. Polls and political analysts did not favor Trump the entire election day. By the end of the night, the president-elected captured wins in swing states that Republicans haven't won since 2004, including Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Iowa, while Clinton carried traditional strongholds in the Northeast, West, and home state Illinois. 218 electoral votes proved not enough, along with the re-election of Republican Senator Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. The GOP will retain control of the Senate and House of Representatives. President Barack Obama reached out to Trump to extend his congratulations and planned their first meeting in the White House. Make America Great Again has begun.
It has been a full month, almost, since Election Day, which is shocking. It kind of feels like yesterday, and a lot has happened since then.
Oh my, I can't believe it's been that long, and this election, insane to say the most.
And it's still exciting. I mean,
yes,
even after the election is over,
it's nonstop.
A lot of action.
Nonstop.
In hopes of understanding this election and what the results will mean for our nation and the world, reporter Corey Meredith sat down with political science expert and LaSalle professor, Dr. Michael Boyle. Let's check.
Hello, I'm Corey Meredith, and I'm sitting down with Dr. Michael Boyle today of the Political Science Department. Dr. Boyle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So today is November 9th. Everyone knows what that means, day after election, and definitely safe to say this was a crazy, crazy election. It was very long. It turned out to be kind of shocking. So let's just dive right into it. What do you have to say, just scratch the surface of what this election really means?
Well, so the first thing I would argue is that people got it wrong, right? Pundits got it wrong, academics got it wrong, polling agencies got it wrong. And where they got it wrong really was in white turnout, and particularly white rural turnout. And so if you look at Donald Trump's numbers, Donald Trump's argument all the way through the campaign was to say, you think I'm going to lose this, I'm actually going to drive white rural turnout, particularly white rural turnout without a college degree, much higher than you're expecting. A lot of the polls suggested that that wasn't true, that this was a kind of mystery voting bloc that he was counting on that wasn't in fact actually true. It turned out his bet was right. and that the turnout for key Democratic constituencies, particularly African Americans and Latinos, was either lower or more split than was anticipated. So as a result, Clinton watched her firewall, which she really thought she had in places like Michigan and Wisconsin, collapse last night. And once that collapses, if you lose that, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, suddenly the Democratic sort of formula under which you win the presidency becomes a real problem. And so if there's one message that the Democrats take out of this, and I think Joe Biden talked a little bit about this, is what do you do with disaffected and quite angry white working class individuals, people who have seen their economic fortunes sort of stagnate, their wages are stagnated, their healthcare costs are going up, and they're in rural small towns. Those people aren't seeing the kind of economic growth that you see in some of the major cities like Philadelphia, San Francisco, New York, Washington. And so we really are seeing the effect of economic inequality mobilize a part of the population to simply say, no, we want someone who's going to be our mouthpiece.
Do you think that this was kind of a call to the government, the establishment, that they're sick of the government running it? Do you think that they're sick of Obama? They're sick of it? Do you think that's why the turnout was not in Clinton's favor?
So I think you can look at this as an anti-establishment vote, an anti-systemic vote. People are saying they're disgusted with Washington, they're disgusted with what they see as the sort of gridlock among the two parties. They wanted someone who was seen as a natural outsider to be able to break the gridlock between the two parties and to get something done. So I think you could see this as a kind of anti-systemic vote more than you would see anything else. You know, a lot of Trump voters described it, they used to say, well, I don't care if Donald Trump tells me something that he's not actually going to do. I want someone with his temperament, someone who's going to be a kind of wrecking ball to the system to come in. And I think both Democrats and Republicans have to say, well, what is it about the dysfunction in the American political system that produced such an incredible level of dissatisfaction that so many voters went to the polls simply desiring someone essentially to wreck it?
Right. And we'll go back to the polling just real quick. There was a lot of swing states in this, and swing states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Florida, Pennsylvania, all of these states went red. And in past elections, 2012 with Obama, that wasn't the case. What happened? What were these swing states seeing that maybe parts for now that they weren't previously?
So I would draw a distinction. So if you think about something like Wisconsin, Michigan, they weren't seen by Democrats or really Republicans as swing states. They were seen as safely in the Democratic column. They flipped, Iowa flipped, and they really shouldn't have, right? That's an example of this kind of mass movement of people who were disaffected to the polls, and it's largely white, right? Not exclusively, but it's largely white, many without college degrees, but even some with college degrees. Trump won both white men and white women, right? So there isn't even a gender breakdown. For the swing states, what you really have is this breakdown between the cities and the rural areas. And traditionally what happens in most of the swing states is that the rural areas produce Republicans, the cities produce Democrats, and it's a turnout competition. How many people can we get to the polls? Obama was very skilled at getting turnout in the cities. If you look at cities like Philadelphia, he had very high levels of turnout in Philadelphia. Clinton clearly didn't get that turnout in the cities. Similarly, you see the same thing if you look at some place like Florida or you look at some place like Ohio. Cities like Cleveland, cities like Miami did not turn out in the numbers that they would need to do. And I think for the Democrats, this raises the question. I mean, I think the Democrats looked at the Obama election and said, well, this is a long-term change in the character of the United States, that we're seeing a coalition of African Americans, of Hispanics, of college-educated people, of young people, and this is going to build a durable Democratic coalition. And it raises the question is whether this actually is a durable Democratic coalition. How much of this is about Barack Obama, and how much of this is about just general demographic changes? And I think a lot of Democrats this morning are saying, well, this may have been about Barack Obama. He may have been the exceptional candidate that got those people to the polls, but we default back to the 2004 patterns, the 2000 patterns of really tight races and rural counties swaying the state votes unless you have him on the ticket.
Oh my gosh, extremely tight races. I feel like every state was only won by a percent almost. I mean, there's definitely some error in that, but a lot of states were. Even Sean Hannity of Fox News, this is a quote saying, "Modern day political miracle happening before our eyes." I mean, obviously Fox News is a more Republican station, but miracle, they were kind of throwing in the towel. They didn't really think that this was going to be the turnout. How surprising was this election?
Well, so I would say Sean Hannity you can't really trust because he's an open propagandist in the Trump camp and also kind of intellectually vacuous. But if you go beyond the Sean Hannity problem,
right,
and you actually get to that serious point, I think there's a bigger problem, which is that our polling numbers are wrong. I mean, even mainstream polling organizations, the New York Times, 538, and so on, they got the polls wrong. And you know, there was a comment out this morning that was saying maybe we should scrap polling, right? Maybe we should just treat polling as it's almost a kind of a magical reasoning that isn't in fact actually true. I don't think that that's true, but I think we have to look at, well, did we undercount systematically populations in the polls? Like, is it very clear that, for example, young whites in rural areas didn't come to the polls? Did we systematically undercount that? Polling is also done with weighting, and there's some evidence to suggest the weighting was wrong. So I think what we need to have is not scrapping of the entire scientific method of measuring public opinion. That's never going to work. But a kind of dark night of the soul for pollsters to say, well, what did we do wrong? And how do we try to make sure that the next time we're not wildly mispredicting states?
So now let's step ahead. He clearly won the election. Donald Trump is the new president of the United States. What does this mean globally? This has been such a worldwide watched election. Even the last debate, there was journalists from all over the world coming to, because this is going to affect so much globally. What does this mean?
It's going to be a disaster. I mean, I could try and find some other nice way of putting this, but it's going to be a disaster. So if we look at it, the European governments this morning came out and basically said, Angela Merkel said, I support Trump on the conditions of shared respect for values. In other words, I'm supporting you insofar as you share the common values the United States and Germany has, and if not that, that's it. The French president came out this morning and said, I support you on the basis of decorum. That is not exactly a warm endorsement. So what's happened is that Europe is nervous. China is eager, in fact, actually, to see what Trump deals with, because Trump is a thug, and in a sense, they want to deal with a thug rather than dealing with something Clinton, who is seen as anti-China. The person who's probably happiest about this is Vladimir Putin, and in part because, look, the Russians have been engaged in a systematic effort to subvert the American election, and they have been funding social media accounts and intelligence organizations to be able to subvert a democratic process. They've done this in Eastern Europe, and they're doing it here. They're going to be very pleased because they think Trump is someone they can manipulate. They think there's someone they can turn into an asset. So we are in a situation where our longstanding allies are going to get nervous, and many of the people that we would see as enemies, or at the very least not friends, are going to be pleased. If that's the result, that's not a good result. And we can even see it in much of the developing world. There are states, there was a report this morning that said a lot of African governments are saying, what's this going to mean for what Obama has done for Africa? What's this going to mean for what Obama has done for Latin America? So from a global vantage point, we have some real serious problems on the horizon.
And then we talk about his very different, what he wants for the country. He wants to repeal and replace Obamacare. He has all of these various ideals that are much different than what we were seeing now. When should we expect to start seeing these changes? I mean, Pat Toomey has won the Senate. The Republicans have the majority now. So are these going to be easier to implement? Do you think there's going to be some times of checks and balances? What should we expect?
So if Trump plays this smart, he's going to run as far as he can with a unified government. That he's got the House, he's got the Senate, and he's going to try and ram through as much of his domestic agenda. He'll try and repeal Obamacare. He'll try and scrap the Iran deal. He might try and do things with legal immigration. Question is going to be, first, can the Democrats effectively filibuster this in the Senate? That's one question. The second question is, can the Democrats place enough pressure on nervous Republicans? Because if you're a Republican in a seat that might flip to the Democrats, you have to ask yourself, do you really want the Department of Justice rounding up illegal immigrants? Do you really want to be in a position where you take health care away from 15 to 20 million people? And so Trump may find himself in a situation where he's got nervous Republicans unwilling to go on the board and not enough of a margin to get his agenda through. The danger with that is that if you're Trump and playing to his natural playbook, which is almost always in opposition, almost always on the attack, what's Trump going to do? He's going to run against the institutions. He's going to slam the Congress. He's going to slam the courts. And so I think Trump is going to do two things. He's going to try and push as much of his agenda as he can quickly, and then when it doesn't work, he's going to blame the institutions. And the danger there is that he'll continue this kind of corrosive attack on the institutions, and American democracy will get fundamentally weaker.
And he's no longer the Republican candidate. Now he's the president. So he has to unify the country. How is he going to do this?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, Trump has run one of the more divisive campaigns in American history. It's been based on a lot of racism, sexism. There's been some xenophobia involved in that as well. He's going to have a real path that he has to walk back to make this sound like something that is a kind of centrist republicanism. Trump really can go two ways. He can continue to behave the way he's behaved in the campaign, in which case he's going to create more polarization, more dysfunction. Or he can tack back and run center right. And there are people on the Republican Party that have said, look, he's going to govern like Reagan, but run like an extremist. The danger is that assumes you can control Trump. And what we've seen throughout the campaign is it's very hard to control his impulses. It's very hard to control him to have the discipline to govern effectively like Reagan did. So Trump has a massive challenge. He has to prove himself. If he doesn't prove himself to be someone able to govern as a centrist, we're going to see a lot more dysfunction in the American political system to come.
Yeah, and I definitely think that he has his work cut out for him. This is going to be an election that we tell our grandchildren about. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but this has been a very hot topic, and it will continue to remain so. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And we're going to send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks again, Corey. But LaSalle broke news on September 8th that they will be taking part in program prioritization. This caused LaSalle to close 6 undergraduate and 4 graduate programs, as well as closing 10 undergraduate minors, 9 tracks and master programs, and several certificate programs. There will be certain programs that will be reconstructed while others will be consolidated. LaSalle supports any students who are enrolled in these programs, including the 2016 fall freshmen, so they will be able to graduate with their degree they intended on. Program prioritization did not have any effects with full-time faculty being laid off. Less than 85 students were actually enrolled in these programs.
On average, it takes 21 years to pay off a student loan for a bachelor's degree. LaSalle University took charge to take that burden off students' shoulders. Cali, Montana has the details.
As many students worry about paying back student loans, LaSalle wants to try and take that burden off of their shoulders. Last year, President Colleen Hanage announced that LaSalle would freeze tuition for the 2016-2017 academic year. After that big step, LaSalle held a town hall meeting and made a bold announcement that there will be a decrease in tuition for undergraduates. Only LaSalle and a few other universities have taken the big step to make school more affordable for students and their families. The tuition reset will be taking effect in the 2017-2018 school year. Tuition has been reduced by 29%, which is a price students paid 8 years ago, back in 2008.
I think it's an awesome and really bold and thoughtful initiative. I'm really excited about it.
It looks really good for the school. If they're at the forefront of something like this, it could be something really positive, get them some national exposure.
Great for the school and great for students and their financial outcomes after school's over.
Step this semester and launched their new brand. It still has students, faculty, and even alumni talking all about it. Here is a look at what went down at the launch party.
Hashtag got to go to Gola.
On Tuesday, September 20th, LaSalle held their brand launch party. They had music, free food, giveaways, and amazing prizes like free housing for the spring semester. Students, faculty, and alumni packed into the Tom Gola Arena and filled every single seat. Everyone was eager to witness history as LaSalle prepared to unveil their new brand slogan and debut the new manifesto video. There were many speakers there like President Colleen Hanage, Communication alumni Matt DeLucia, the Communication and Marketing Department, and many others that led the launch and had many encouraging words about LaSalle's history and the new impactful look that was heading everyone's way. People were on the edge of their seats waiting to hear and see all the new brand information. The saying "Never Stop Exploring" was coming to an end, and it was time to welcome in the new and improved slogan, "Explorers are never lost." The Gola exploded with claps and cheers, and there was nothing but smiling faces and excitement with the new changes. After the big news launch, I was able to get students' reactions and opinions about the event. Check it out.
I really think that the new slogan is like a good opportunity for LaSalle to express what we're trying to do here in a different way.
I love it. Something new, something unique. Whoever came up with it, great idea.
LaSallians will never stop exploring, but most importantly, explorers are never lost. For LTV News, I'm reporter Cali, Montana.
What an exciting event. I absolutely love the new slogan and the new logos. My favorite are the little chevrons that are with the compass.
I love all the new flags up when you're
it
walking
looks
by.
Beautiful.
Oh, such bright colors.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Makes me proud to be LaSalle.
It does.
LaSalle went under some construction during the beginning of the fall semester. McShane Hall, where the Student Counseling Center was located, has since been taken down. The Counseling Center has found a new home by the business building. The main quad was also under construction and got a well-deserved makeover. The Union Building was also updated with new glass panels. Let's see it.
Yeah, there has been a lot since we got back, but let's see what it looked like at first when we all got back to campus. So, I mean,
it was a mess.
It was so much traffic.
It was a work in progress,
I
should say.
And I mean, the traffic jam that happened to it. I mean, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
it was.
but now it looks beautiful.
Yes,
so it's okay.
But you know what? The thing is, they got through it very quickly, I thought. So now, let's see the brand new quad. Oh, it feels so homey. Just look at them. That's beautiful. Look at them walking.
Especially
so
when
happy.
the weather was so nice.
Yes, the hammocks, the new lights. Beautiful.
Yes.
I love it. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It's brand new. You see a lot more people, I feel like, out on it, especially, like you said, during the nice weather. Even at night, you see people laying in the hammocks.
Even now, people are still sitting outside. It's such a beautiful setup. So we're going to switch gears
I've been so excited about this.
Yeah.
We are going to show you guys our favorite events we covered this semester. And number one, Harry Potter.
Love it.
Chestnut Hill College turned into Hogwarts this past weekend, which had Harry Potter fans magically appearing all around the campus. The Harry Potter Festival had fans of all ages dressing up and casting a spell with their magic wands. Some fans then told me what they loved most about the festival and Harry Potter.
Like the mystery behind it. You don't really know, if you haven't read the books and you watch the movies, you don't really know what's happening, and also the other way around.
What about you?
I love the action because I find it like creepy when Baltimore, he scares me.
It's my 5th year, and I brought my kids and my grandkids. I think I love episode 2, and I love when they go into the Chamber of Secrets.
I love Harry Potter so much that I got a Hedwig.
Hermione,
Yeah,
why is that?
because she's a girl and she's very brave. She's courageous too, so.
What about you?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, why is that?
Because he's brave and he likes to go on adventures.
And now, have you guys been having fun today at the festival?
Oh, yes.
In addition, Chestnut Hill College had many activities and events on their campus, like the 7th Annual Philadelphia Brotherly Love Cup Quidditch Tournament, which brought many fans to their feet. Many schools came out to play in the tournament, like Franklin and Marshall College, the University of Pittsburgh, Syracuse University, Stockton University, and the Philadelphia Honey Badgers. After a few tournaments were complete, I was able to get the inside scoop from some big Harry Potter fans.
I love the Quidditch matches and everything.
Have you ever played Quidditch before?
No, I have not.
The Quidditch match? Have you ever played Quidditch before?
Nope.
Do you want to play Quidditch?
Yes.
Sounds fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That was not all the festival had. They also had tons of vendors, which sold apparel, broomsticks, wands, potions, and much more. To add on to the fun, they even had games for the people to enjoy and get their energy out, as well as tons of food to satisfy their magical cravings. The festival ended with many people casting new spells on each other, as well as flying home on their broomsticks. For LTV News, I'm reporter Cali, Montana.
Callie also got the chance to attend another wonderful event, the Veterans Day Parade.
Sunday, November 6th might have been chilly in the city of brotherly love, but it was a special day for Philadelphia as they hosted their 2nd annual Veterans Day Parade. The parade was in recognition for all the brave men and women who have served the country, as well as all the people who are still continuing to serve today. There were many organizations that came out to show support, as well as participate in the parade. Before all the fun started, I was able to catch up with 2 organizations, Wells Fargo and the Veterans Multi-Service Center, to find out what their main mission is when it comes to helping veterans, as well as their favorite part of the parade.
Wells Fargo has a Veteran Team Member Network, which we're also a part of, and all of our team members within the Veteran Team Member Network take part in the extracurricular activities to support veterans within our community and also support veterans within our company.
It's important that we as a country, especially with the fewer and fewer people serving nowadays, that we understand as a nation, what our veterans contribute.
We're one of the largest cities in the country, and that we're getting involved in recognizing veterans in our community. I think they deserve such an amount of respect from us, and to see in our city support our veterans as a veteran makes me so much happier.
Watching all the veterans come together and walk in memory of their service.
Many people came together and lined up to honor and thank all of the veterans for putting their lives on the line each and every day to make sure that our country is kept safe. The parade started at 16th and JFK Boulevard and ended at 6th and Market Street. As the parade continued on, there was nothing but smiles and waves coming from the veterans and everyone participating in the event. There was claps and cheers coming from everyone as the parade continued down the streets. After the parade was finished, there was then a festival in which people were able to go and celebrate the veterans and their families. The Veterans Day Parade might have been a few days early, but it is never too early or too late to take some time and thank all the veterans and all the brave men and women who are still serving our beautiful country today. For LTV News, I'm reporter Cali, Montana.
Well, it has been a fantastic semester, but that just about does it for this episode.
Until next time, for Callie, Dave, Corey, Madison, Steve, and the entire crew, I'm Kiersten McDonald. Happy holidays, and thanks for watching LTV News, where the action never stops.